Before we start, just recognize we got Ellen Kozel, who's going to be coming on board with us. And she's here.
She's observing today. The chairman of the Board of Supervisors is making the appointment at the meeting next Wednesday. Or is it tomorrow? No, next Wednesday. Either way. Well,
Good morning.
thank you.
So first thing we're going to do, we're going to open the CRC Finance Committee meeting. And on that first item is the draft minutes from February 6, 2024. And we're going to need a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Next is the treasurer's report. Michael.
There's been no activity in terms of the report. We did receive a $5,000 grant from CEDC to cover operating expenses. And we paid for the audit and the insurance for the board members. And we have $542 in the net income. And on the balance sheet, we have $1,600 in the checking account plus prepaid expenses. We have $1,742 of assets, and we have $1,742 in liabilities and equity. And for Helen's benefit, the Capital Resource Corporation is an entity that was established when it was determined that IDAs could not provide funding to not-for-profit organizations. So the state legislature created these as vehicles to enable that. We have done projects in the past for the hospitals that issue bonds and other, I guess, projects long ago before that. And we've continued through a grant from CEDC to maintain the entity in the event that not-for-profit would like to do a project in the future. We've discussed whether or not it's worth the money to do that, but if the hospital was to do an expansion or do a garage or do an office building or any other of the arts and cultural not-for-profits or nursing homes wanted to do something and we gave this up, it wouldn't be available. So we kind of think it's a useful expense, but 20 years from now, when we realize we spent $100 grand of CEDC's money with no business, we might have a different view, but I won't be here then. So.
I won't either.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, so we need a motion in the second. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
My treasurer's report included my administrative director's report. So
Yes,
I have no further report.
on the back page, you have the 2025 budget, which Mike sort of just alluded to.
Again, the issue there is we have to submit a budget in 90 days to the Authority Budget Office. And since we were meeting, we prepared the budget based on last year, which was another $5,000 grant from CEDC, insurance and accounting and audit fees, and miscellaneous, so that perhaps in the future we could have donuts, but no promises, Bill. And so enable Lisa to get this up and running early with the state. We have requested that you approve a budget based on the budget from the previous year and the actual financial report for this year.
So, saying that, we just need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Any public comment on CRC? No public comment. I'm going to close the CRC Finance Committee meeting. Moving right along, we have the CRC regular meeting. And the first thing we have is going to motion and second to approve the June 4th, 2024 minutes.
Make motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the treasurer's report we just did, and we're gonna do it again, Mike.
I recommend that the board approve the treasurer's report as presented at the finance committee meeting.
Okay. So all those in favor of the treasurer's report?
Aye.
We
I'm
do
sorry,
need
a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the administrative director's report.
I move that you accept my report from the committee meeting as a report for the full board.
Okay, so accepted. And next we have the 2025 budget, which we just went over
We request that you, we recommend it to the board for approval.
for approval. Okay, so I need a
A motion.
motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Don't move. Now, on the back page, you're gonna see, we're gonna have a revised 2024 meeting schedule.
Lisa and I discussed the fact that, because of the lack of activity in this entity, that we would revise the meeting schedule for this year and carry it through till next year. The February meeting is to enable us to go through all the required housekeeping items for reporting to the authority budget office. The March meeting is to approve the financial statement and the 990 if it's available. The August meeting would give us the opportunity to approve the budget. And the December meeting would be to allow us to approve the engagement letter for the accountants. I don't know that, in each of those, we would require a finance committee meeting or governance or any of the other committees. But, we've had, tried to reduce this down to absolute minimum until we have a transaction that makes it justify us holding a full meeting. So,
Need a motion and a second to approve the meeting
So
schedule.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any public comments? Public comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn in a second.
Motion.
All those in favor?
All right.
Moving right along, we have the IDA Finance Committee meeting. What we need first is a motion and a second to approve the minutes from February 6, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have the treasurer's report.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Balance sheet shows that we have $30,000 in our checking and savings accounts. We have some prepaid expense for total assets of $30,174. We do have a liability to CEDC in the amount of $18,750. As you'll recall, that's the $12,000 fee from last year and the fee this year, which was revised to reduce it so that I believe it's $12,500 a year, so just over $1,000 a month. We also have land that was sold, land payment of $6,000 from Hudson River Valley Holding Company. That in the past, those funds have been transferred to the county, but the county has requested that we hold those funds for now. So we have $24,000 in liability. And so we basically have $5,000 in equity. CEDC obviously will work with the board and not make any pressure to collect that fund at this time until we determine whether we're back on track with new projects and fee income. So as you know, we do get 1% of the agency fee on a project. If we were to get a $20 million housing project, we'd have $200,000 in the bank. We can talk about repaying that outstanding payable to CEDC at that point. You'll recall that we reduced the fee so that it was strictly $1,000, a little over $1,000 a month for the administrative work. And then CEDC would get 10% of any fee that the agency collected from a project. So if there was a $200,000 fee on a project, we would get $20,000. And the theory was that pay as you go. The work that we do to administer the agency is, pretty flat. But when we do get a deal, work related to getting that deal approved and working with the attorneys and the developer and the government officials at the town level require significant time and effort. And so the thought was, rather than pay us in advance, thinking that maybe a deal comes in, that we would do it this way and keep your base fee at a lower level. On the profit and loss, you can see we have application and miscellaneous income. Each deal has an ongoing administrative fee, basically set at the time the project closed. We did have accounting and audit. We did have the reduced administrative fee, and we had insurance, so that we're actually running at a negative $12,500 basis right now. We do have a couple of projects that to present to you today, and we do have several larger projects that we've been approached about, and we are hopeful that we can get back on track with projects. The last two projects the agency did was the Ginsburg project, which didn't go forward, but the fee had been paid because they had closed, and also the solar project down below Calarusso's maintenance garage. Those were both some time ago. The difficulty, of course, is we lack water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband at more than 6 locations. And there are only 6 sewer districts in the county, and a larger project is something that's going to require having all of those at the same place. We do have opportunities at the 9H and 66 intersection, and obviously in the town of Greenport where there's a major sewer plant. But other than that, it's difficult to find a location that would result in either a multifamily housing or industrial facility that needs water and sewer and electric. We did have an inquiry on Flanders, but they were looking for 115 kV power, and National Grid doesn't have any easements or any plans online to build that in any near term. So it looks like that we're going back to the developer, to the company, to see if was that their own internal best case planning, or would this work in an interim basis? But again, we suffer across the board in terms of economic development and industrial development agency projects by our lack of infrastructure, which is something we're continuing to work on with the county and the individual towns and villages, and obviously the city.
That's all. Need a motion and a second, accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we got the 2025 budget.
What we've done is we've reduced the budget to reflect the fact that we're on a pay-as-you-go fee basis. Again, if we're getting $12,000 in fee income as the base fee, and we're budgeting $25,000, that basically means we hope that you do $15 million in project financing in 2025. Obviously, again, we anticipate several smaller projects for sure this year, and perhaps one larger project. But obviously, at some point, without projects, we're going to have to figure out a model of managing the agency without any fees. Because fortunately, the accounting and insurance costs, in and of themselves are close to $12,000, and we really can't operate without doing the audit and ensuring that the agency has the proper insurance coverage.
Okay, so we're gonna need a motion and a second, accept the 2025 budget.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Any public comments at this time? None. We're gonna close the IDA Finance Committee.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? That's your job, I know. Okay, without further ado, moving right along. We're gonna have the IDA board meeting for this month. And the first thing is the administrative director's report.
You do the finance committee too, first, right?
Well, the agenda has administrative report first, and then it has the minutes. We can shift that, Mr. Chairman, if you want to go to
Go right.
the minutes and to the
Sure.
and treasurer and then administrative.
Okay, so I need a motion and second for the draft minutes of June 4th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So moved. Next, we have the treasurer's report.
Mr. Chairman, I requested the agency adopt the recommendation of the finance committee to approve the treasurer's report.
All those, need a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And again, next we have the 2025 budget. Need a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Want to do all the updates first, Mike?
Well, I think I want to welcome Chris Canada from Hudson Russ. Chris is our special agency special counsel. As you know, Hudson Russ has served that role for many years for the agency, and Joe Scott, that was the partner who was oversaw our account, and Chris had worked with Joe on several of our projects in the past. And Joe is in the process of transitioning to retirement. So Chris, welcome. We're going to try to move this along because we know you're on vacation and we appreciate you calling in. So Mr. Chairman, I'd like to consider the Wick Hotel project and the BAC sales project first, and then we can let Chris jump off, and we can then give you an update on the other items that are listed. As you know, last October, a group affiliated with the Pocketbook Factory project approached the IDA requesting that the IDA approve the assignment of the existing agreements between the IDA and 41 Cross Hospitality LLC, the owners of the Wick Hotel. That project was financed 7 years ago. They received IDA financing that included pilot, sales tax exemption.
It's on this sheet.
And if you look at the underneath your packet material, Ashwini gave us some material. But they had a pilot agreement, a sales tax exemption, and a mortgage tax exemption. The pilot is they're requesting that by assigning the documents that they're requesting that they be allowed to continue to get the benefit of the pilot through 2027, which is when it would otherwise have expired under the original transaction. As you can see, there are 4 years left on the pilot, including 2024. For 2024, you can see in the pilot column the benefit that they are receiving. I'm sorry, the net is the benefit they're receiving versus what the payment in taxes would be without a pilot. And this year would be $52,000. This project will not close until September 30th, so that I took 25% of the $52,000 to calculate the amount of benefit the new owner will receive if you approve this assignment. And then we used 100% for 25, 26, and 27. As a result, you'll see there's $129,000 of pilot benefit, and there would be $160,000 of sales tax exemption benefit based on their request to expend $2.3 million in renovations and upgrades assuming that 60% of that cost is are items that are eligible for sales tax. The result is that they would be basically receiving a $270,000 benefit by us assigning this. Council, special counsel and agency counsel have given us the opinion that the agency does have the legal authority to assign this agreement and allow the new owner to have the benefits that the IDA ownership provides. It's common and across the state to do this. And in fact, this agency approved doing it with respect to the deal that fell through back last October. The purchasers will be 41 Cross Street LLC, not Hospitality LLC. The owners of that entity are Ben Fain, who owns the Kitty's Market, the Caboose, and the Kaz development. Makes a lot of sense for him to purchase this so that it basically ensures that he has complete control of that, all those adjoining parcels for his other business enterprises. One of the things that is incentivizing Redburn Development, who owns 41 Cross Hospitality, is that this is their only hotel. They are a major apartment developer throughout the capital region, and in fact have looked at several potential projects in Columbia County. But it's just very difficult to, when someone calls from the hotel to the home office, there's really nobody there to answer their questions. So, it's just, it was a great project. They got into it 7 years ago when that whole area was, had not been redeveloped. The work that Ben Fain had done had not started, and it really was they were pioneers in an effort to get that area of Hudson back on track. You'll recall the county IDA did that deal because at the time the city IDA had not done a deal in 10 years, and they requested that the county IDA do the deal, but you required at the time that the city IDA make a formal request by resolution and that they provide the terms of the pilot agreement, so that there was no effort to be able to say the county was giving away the city's tax dollars. The city requested the terms of this agreement, and the city is aware that the IDA is in the process of considering the assignment of the deal to the new owner. With respect to what should we charge as a fee, there's a separate page in there as well. And I'm proposing a fee of $25,000 based on the fact that the original deal, they received a $391,000 pilot, $100,000 mortgage recording tax exemption, and $400,000 in sales tax for $891,000. They paid it was an $8 million project at the time. They paid a 1% fee, which was $80,000. The IDA split that with the city of Hudson IDA. So when you netted out the full fee, their net benefit was $811,000. You'll see in the far column at the top, the percentage that each of the exemptions provided towards the whole exemption. So the pilot was 48%, the mortgage recording tax was 12%, and the sales tax exemption was 49%. In this project, they have indicated that they want to spend $2.3 million to renovate and replace FF&E as part of the purchase. 1% of that amount is $23,000. As we pointed out earlier, the sales tax exemption and the remaining benefit from the pilot total $270,000. That's 33% of the original benefit they received. If they paid $80,000 for the original fee for the project, 33% of that is $26,000. So somewhere between 23,000 and 26,000. My recommendation is that we move forward with this transaction with a $25,000 IDA fee. And the theory was that we needed to have some basis on which we considered a fee. Because there's only 3 years left on the pilot, and they requested a new pilot, but that really wouldn't be appropriate. It is a $12 million purchase, but we're pulling out of it the benefits that they're getting. There's no mortgage recording tax because they're paying cash. And we tried to attempt to prorate the benefits and come up with a rational basis on which to recommend the fee. The IDA did that with the solar project 10 years ago, again, because they didn't have a pilot, they didn't need a pilot because they were exempt by state law at the time. They prorated the fee based on this methodology. So in considering moving forward with the resolution that you have recommending authorizing the IDA to make the assignment after a public hearing is held, and a resolution to authorize the IDA to hold the public hearing. Recommend that you approve both resolutions and the fee. Chris, do you have anything you wanted to add about the assignment or the public hearing?
No, thanks, Mike. Can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning. So nothing really to add. I would only say that the public hearing is related to the new financial assistance related to the renovations to the existing facility, because those will be more than $100,000. That's why we're holding the public hearing. After this, should the board consider moving forward with this and adopting this resolution, the assignment and assumption is authorized, and then we would hold the public hearing. We'd work with Mike's office, obviously, to set that up. And then after that public hearing, we could go forward and approve the additional sales tax exemption on the project at a subsequent meeting. So that's all I could add, Mike.
Okay. They do want to close by September 30th. Our next meeting is October 2nd. So we may need to have a special meeting, but there may be a need for that in connection with other matters as well. Chairman?
So you got the resolution for the Wick Hotel, okay? So what we're gonna need is a motion in the second to accept, and then we'll do the public hearing. That's what Mike's talking about, probably have to get into that. So I need a motion in a second to accept the resolution for the Wick Hotel.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is the running mate.
How do I know that? I'm sorry.
The Post just told me. Not that I only read the Post.
Apple News said the same thing.
You signed up to get the text, I didn't do that. No.
I didn't give any money, so maybe they didn't.
So we're all set. You also did have the application. It's all there too, if you want to hear. I'll read through it. I'm sorry. I called the witch, that's what we had. We got the projects down here.
Right.
Do we have a proposed date for the public hearing?
Lisa and I will work that out and get your schedule. It's not necessary that the full board attend a public hearing, but in the past, it's been the custom of the board to do that. So what I'm thinking of is sometime in the first 2 weeks of September, that will enable us to conform to their closing schedule. It will also allow us to address several other issues.
We've got another one that's coming up too. You'll see on back sales. I didn't know if we could do.
You can do that too. We have there are two public hearings. We do them at the same time.
You have to do them in 2 different towns. Public hearing has to be in the city where the project is. So one has to be in Hudson, one has to be in Ghent.
Okay. All right. So we'll figure that out. Maybe we'll split you guys into 2 groups and you can report to each other. We'll get a van.
Okay. So moving along, next we have BAC sales.
That was all voted on?
I don't know, you lost me a long time ago.
I'm sorry, we just voted on That doesn't, there's no roll call on that, right?
There's no roll call.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so both resolutions regarding the WIC were passed.
Yes.
Establishing the public hearing and the authorizing the chairman to sign the documents.
Yes.
Yes,
Pending the
yes.
public hearing.
That's all.
We're pleased to have with us today Bob Cohen from BAC Sales and his counsel, Bill Better. They'll make a brief presentation and then we can discuss a very exciting project that they're hoping to move forward with, provided the IDA is able to provide them with some assistance up in the town.
Where would you like it?
Right here, there's two corner seats, so
Here.
give you the corner table.
What'd you say?
There's two bosses.
So, I'm Bill Better, this is Bob Collins, and it is a privilege to be here, folks. And it's really a privilege to be here with Bob Cohen. We've been talking about this project for some time. Bob Cohen founded BAC Sales 55 years ago in a garage in Ghent, New York. He is one of the BAC Sales has grown into one of the largest distributors of hearth products east of the Mississippi. It's a family business. Bob ran it for many years, and despite his youthful appearance, he is over the age of 50. And he has turned this over to his daughter, Amanda, who is who's operating it today on a daily basis, but they bring Bob along. For those of you that venture out to either the Columbia County Fair or the Dutchess County Fair, you'll know that Bob is a fixture there. A few years ago, BAC Sales acquired another entity. It was called Fireside Distributors. It's based in North Carolina. They have a presence in North Carolina. So what has happened, and Bob will explain this because Bob is a consummate salesman. He can sell anything to anybody, and he's going to tell you in a minute what has changed in the hearth industry and what has necessitated him making this decision. He and Amanda and moving forward. The business has changed. It continues to change, and in order for BAC Sales to be relevant and to move forward, we need to build a building, a warehouse. BAC Sales has had an IDA project before. They suffered a terrible fire, and I believe it was in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And they rebuilt their warehouse, and the Columbia County IDA was there for them and encouraged them and provided financial assistance. And BAC Sales was very grateful for that, and that kept them in the game. And there are currently between a little over 30 employees. We're expecting to add 15 employees. And I think, I've been involved in economic development for as long as I've been a lawyer in this county, which is 1982. And it's a genetic thing. And Mr. Kennedy, you and I have never met, but I know Mr. Scott, and you know my son Joey, who's on the IDA board for the city of Albany.
Yes, sir.
So, yep. And so Mike Tucker raises some issues, not to digress, that are really important for you folks to convey to the Board of Supervisors. Every day, Mike Tucker and his entity has to compete with other municipalities and other locations that can throw much greater benefits towards people that want to do something. And the fact remains that without water and sewer and natural gas and broadband, things like that, he's had a limited ability to compete. One of the reasons I was placed in charge of the Columbia County Industrial Park, which is something that we started to do in, I think, 1994, was to create a shovel-ready park. We did that. I think there's only limited availability left, but it's something that really needs to be expanded. I don't know why it hasn't been. I have said this to anybody that's listened to me for a while. Apparently, people like my children no longer listen to me. So anyhow, the long and short of it, folks, is, and Mike Tucker mentioned it, you guys will be out of business financially because you need to have projects in order to be relevant and in order to generate revenue. And in order to generate revenue, you got to have this places for people to do business. And that's it. And you also have to keep your fees at a reasonable rate so people can afford to do it. And Bob Cohen's business is here. They need to add a warehouse because Bob's going to tell you what has happened in their business. They need to add a warehouse. Their choices were to add it in North Carolina or in Ghent, New York. not puffery, that's real. They have a warehouse in North Carolina right now. And the choices are, do we edit down there, or would you rather do it in their backyard where they can keep an eye on things? So Bob is gonna take, I really appreciate it. We have benefits that we're seeking. They're slightly over $100,000 in our application. It's probably knock on the door 150 with pilot, sales tax, and mortgage tax. We propose to add 15 jobs, at least 1 or 2 of which will come from positions currently in North Carolina that we're going to relocate here. So with that being said, I'm going to let Bob have a couple of minutes because nobody can tell the story better than Bob.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
That's all I need. Basically, I want to say that I always support Columbia County. I do the Columbia County Fair every year because nobody else wants to work 12 hours a day. And we started about 3 years ago doing the Dutchess County Fair. Dutchess County Fair gets between 350,000 and 500,000 people, and we pay the exact same amount, actually a little bit more in Columbia County. It basically only brings in 35,000 people. So we do it because we love Columbia County. I love Columbia County. And basically, you people have all supported me from the days when I started in my garage on my road and everybody closed their eyes when the UPS truck came in and Harder's Express backed the trucks in and nobody said, what is he doing on my road? So that allowed me to build my first warehouse with Dave Riffenberg on 9H. Since I started in the old days selling Better Than Ben wood stoves, the industry has changed over the last 50 years. And we went from wood stoves, and then we sold kerosene heaters, and then we sold a few outdoor things. And now we're really under attack by the lack of the use of fossil fuels, including natural gas, which is a big, big part of our business. In the state of New York, if you build a house today, you can't put in a gas cook stove starting in next year. You can't put in a gas fireplace. You can't even put in a gas stove. Everything has to be electric. So it's forced us again now to make another turn to move more to outdoor products. And we have a big territory with the Big Green Egg down south. And my daughter is just in the process of negotiating a deal to take over that product in New England, New York, and New Jersey from a company that's basically deciding to sell, who's more in the propane business, but also has a big section with barbecue grills, and they want to sell the company and they want to split it in half. So my daughter right now is in negotiations to bring in Big Green Egg for New England and New York and New Jersey. That requires, outdoor products require a lot more space than wood stoves. And the reason why we need to put additional building is we don't have any more room on our 10 acres on 9H. So we purchased some property and we're ready to go with a new project with a 12,000 square foot building. Anybody has any questions?
What is Big Green Egg again?
Oh my God. Everybody, look at the color of this guy's shirt. Big Green Egg is a smoker, and it's more than a smoker. It's a product that people just live for. I mean, when you buy a car, you have to buy a Mercedes, everything else is passé. In the smoking business, Big Green Egg is the smoker. And all the famous chefs cook on Big Green Egg. And anytime they do any smoking, and it actually looks like a Big Green Egg from this small to the jumbo, which is this big.
He doesn't cook, so.
Right?
He doesn't cook.
He doesn't.
He uses coal milk.
So they take up a lot of room. Actually, my son, a few years back said to me, Dad, what do you think the biggest selling item we have in the company? And I said, well, a stick of metal Vestas chimney, we sell thousands of them and so on. Electric log lighters for the Big Green Egg is our biggest selling product. And when we first got Big Green Egg, about 10 years ago, we bought a company in Pennsylvania, and they had one state. We had Big Green Egg for Pennsylvania. When I talked to the gentleman who owned the biggest distributorship of Big Green Egg, he said, I'm not going to tell you how many eggs I use, but I sold last year 20,000 bags of Big Green Egg charcoal. And when you own a Big Green Egg, you have to use big green egg charcoal, which is twice as expensive as everybody else's charcoal, but you have to have it. Any other questions?
So basically, warehouses for the new products will be all charcoal or wood, like,
Well, it'll be more geared towards that, because as you know, in New York, I don't need as many gas fireplaces and as many gas stoves, because next year they're out. So we have to kind of shift to other things than, I mean, we're doing a lot we sell a lot of electric, but electric fireplaces aren't the same as a gas fireplace or wood fireplace. Yeah, so because we need more room.
thinking out about propane too?
Yes, in new construction, you can't put propane. You have to put electric. Next year, January.
So this project is for a 10-acre parcel of land and a 12,000 square foot warehouse building. It's the hard costs are estimated at 1.2 million, and the soft cost brings that up to about 1.35 million. And as was both Bill and Bob reported, it's anticipated that there'll be an additional, they'll retain additional 29 employees, and over a 3 to 4 year period, they'll bring in another 15 or 16 employees.
We're starting really a new division, which is hard. We have hard on one side, and then we're gonna have outdoor products on the other side. And actually, my daughter's in negotiations with Tarrant Tank, and we want to hire her manager who handles their outside product.
So when you look at what they are proposing, and you look at the benefits that they are asking for from the IDA, if you go to page 11 of their application, you can see that it's a $1,350,000 project. The sales tax on construction materials is estimated to be $65,000. The mortgage recording tax, $18,750, and the real property tax exemption worth $87,500. So as was indicated, it's about $165,000 benefit. Obviously, there are costs associated with going through the IDA, both administrative and legal. If you jump to the last page of page 24, you can see how the $87,000 IDA pilot benefit was calculated. There's a schedule on page 24, but also in your packet is a 11 by 17 page that really walks us through, as required by the state, the analysis for calculating. You'll see that in column A on this big sheet, at the bottom of your packet. Here. See, column A is the current assessed value is 57.8, piece of vacant land. Over 10 years, it would pay 11,143 in taxes. So when you look at what they're going to propose here, and you look at the not only increase in jobs, but the increase in tax base, it's a significant project, especially when you consider that 75% of the businesses in Columbia County have 10 employees or less. And all in between both divisions and your other operations, you'll be well ahead of that. If we had a pilot, if the estimated tax on a project with no pilot is B, using an $850,000 assessed value as an estimate, as the assessor will actually calculate that when the project is completed, and that will be the assessment that will be used for the full term of the pilot. Using local tax rates, you can see that there'd be $163,000 of taxes paid over the 10 years. The IDA, as part of its uniform tax exempt policy, provides for two different types of abatements. One is a non-industrial value pilot, which is 50% of the tax in the first year exempted down to zero in the 10th year, and an industrial value added, which starts at 0% tax the first year and 100% in the last year. Under our standard pilot policy guidelines, a warehouse is in the industrial classification. So if you look at C, we applied the same methodology using the same tax rates and estimated assessed value. And you see the total tax will be $76,418. So when you compare that to the 163 that it would pay, the project would pay if there was no pilot, there's an $87,000 benefit. You see the mortgage recording tax and the sales tax exemption, bringing the estimated exemption value to $163,000. It's a great project. It's a great location. And as I said, and as Bob and Bill both indicated, it will create jobs and increase the county's tax base.
Where is location?
What's the name of the side
Well,
road?
it Falls Industrial Park
Okay.
Road. It's the little private road that exists right next to BAC Sales that goes up in the back. The other businesses up there are General Roll, TCI. They not TCI is not there anymore, but actually the NYSEG has a big transformer substation in the back. Leggett Electric is way in the back. There's about 10 little sites up there. It's a P&R Trust, you go right by.
Yeah.
Universal Forest Products.
That's right.
I'm sorry, they have too many different names.
I recognize, one of the things that jumps out at me is with the cost of materials today, I recognize that warehousing is different than homes and whatnot. But this is coming in at just over $100 a square foot. You can actually do it for that? That's really-
Bob is rather frugal, for those of you that are familiar with him. His pencil is very sharp. The
Okay.
point on his pencil is incredibly sharp.
I look at the numbers.
It is all being built with local materials being supplied by a local building product company and with a local contractor. And as I said, he's very frugal, and he spends a great deal of time negotiating with people that supply him everything for fill and things like that. So I can assure you that it's done correctly, but with the ultimate cost in mind.
Okay.
It is.
I can see that.
And also, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but if I did, I apologize. Unlike other industries, and I'm not disparaging the hospitality industry or something like that, Bob's employees all have a 401k. They all have health insurance. Okay? And if you look, you've got warehouse people that are making some decent dollars there, and customer service folks. Treats his people well, they're all paid well, it's from on a comparison basis locally.
Chris, do you have any legal boundaries you want to put around my description of the project?
No, that was summarized very well. The only thing I'd say is the resolution before the board this morning related to this project is just to hold a public hearing. So this resolution will authorize holding a public hearing related to the project. Public hearing would be held and we go forward after that with approving resolutions. So great summaries by everybody.
They want to get started by October 1st.
Right.
So again, that would be a reason to hold a early September meeting to review the results of the public hearing and make all the approvals. Would that be possible based on your understanding of the project?
Absolutely. Not a problem.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, so what we're gonna need is a motion and a second to accept the public hearing resolution for BAC sales.
Motion, second.
All those in favor? So moved.
Thank you, Chris. Get back to the beach. I hope it's sunny wherever you are.
I'm in North Carolina in this god awful storm, so we're probably coming home early, but it's okay.
Be safe then.
Good render.
I knew you were
Take
near
care.
a beach with the Calling.
Safe travel.
Have a good
They
day,
don't use
everybody.
that color. They use that color in the Adirondacks.
Take care.
Okay.
Are we all set?
Yes, thank you.
On the way out the door, I want to tell you this, Mike Tucker has done a phenomenal job being available to us and for us. And I remember, I was part of the group that hired him, how many years ago was it, Mike, for your 1 year stint?
9.
9. But, I want to thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. I thought it was more. Thank you.
It's a down payment, my friend.
Next time, thanks. Bagels.
Well, listen, in the old days, we used to have donuts and bagels. See you guys.
Take it easy. We'll see you later.
Bye, Bob.
Hey, Bob, don't forget your coat.
All these people.
Thanks for your hospitality.
Some of the managers, some of the managers. Take it easy. So moving along, we have 8 Bender Boulevard.
8 Bender Boulevard is a parcel of land that is owned by Columbia County. It's approximately 50 acres. Most of it is wetland or restricted because of, is at the Commerce Center, restricted because of the FAA air rights and, approach for the landing. It's restricted. There is a 1 acre parcel that exists when you square off the back lots of the 2 adjoining owners. Hudson River Valley Holding Company, which is Paul Harpus and Matt Krashevitz, own the 1.8 acre parcel on one side, and here's Sasset Bioforce owns it on the other side. Harpus came to the IDA requesting that we subdivide that 1 acre parcel from the county's larger parcel, and he incorporated into a 2.83 acre parcel to enable him to build 2 warehouses. Well, they're called mixed use buildings. They could be warehouse, they could be light assembly, they could be storage, they could, it could be a number of things. And we are bringing that to your attention. We're not looking for a vote today, but I am in contact with the other neighbor. You wouldn't want to find out that there was a peace between the 2 of you and only one person knew about buying it. At the same time, the IDA is allowed to negotiate the purchase. And I think that it has not gone to the planning board because he wasn't sure whether there'd be any appetite for the IDA to do this. I think that it makes a lot of sense. It's not clear why that 1 acre was held. It looked like it might have been held so there'd be access to the parcels in the back, but there's access from Route 66 to the parcel in the back, and it can't be developed anyway, according to Crawford, other than this 1 acre parcel. You'll recall that Hudson Valley Real Estate Holding purchased this property probably 6 years ago. They were required at the time to pay a penalty if they didn't build within 3 years. That was the height of COVID, and the IDA gave them 2 extensions. Andy and I have discussed this, and if the IDA does proceed to sell this to them so they can create the 3 acre parcel, I think that it should be certainly dependent on town planning board approval, and it should come with a penalty mortgage that would result in a significant penalty if they don't complete the project within 18 months to 2 years. We've given them a significant opportunity to move forward with this project, considering COVID and the economy. But at this point, it is one of the last parcels left in the Commerce Park. The way the Commerce Park was structured, you'll recall, is if the land was worth 100,000, you paid 50. And if you didn't build within 2 years, you had to pay a $50,000 penalty. because you'd gotten it for half price on the thesis that you were going to build something. You know what? That hasn't really worked because it was cheaper for some people in other parts of the park to pay the penalty and sit with the property and not get it developed. I'm not suggesting that we change that model in this case, but I think that the next time we do a park, it should be, you get it for 50 cents on the dollar, but if you don't build in 2 years, you lose the 50,000 and we get the site back. Because, there were a lot of sites up there. It's hard to convince grant money, state grant people or the county to spend money to build a second commerce park when you drive through there and see empty lots. And so we are working with the few empty lots that are left. Paul owns a parcel himself where he's moving his business from Stockport, his roofing business, and that puts him in compliance with the extension we had given him previously on that parcel. I think that there's nothing needed more in the county than beyond the infrastructure than warehousing space or space for small manufacturers. A good example is Andrew McDonald purchased the old Fairpoint communications facility up in at the Ghent Chatham line, where by Price Chopper, and renovated basically what was their truck bay into 5 or 6 separate small spaces that basically aren't offices. They're spaces where people can assemble things. They can get things out to their customers, and we really are in, and we also are still, you'll recall we had an option agreement with a company that was going to build a Frito-Lay distribution center. They ended up not proceeding. They built a much larger facility down on I-84, but now they're back in the county looking for a site. And they had looked at a site in Livingston that didn't work out, but they're looking for a 5-acre site to build a 15,000 square foot warehouse where they would feed that warehouse from the bigger warehouse, and then the little trucks would go out from there to the distribute that product. I think it's throughout the Hudson Valley. There's the need for this because of our access to so many different markets that businesses are looking to have space for flex space for manufacturing, assembly, and warehousing. So we have 60 manufacturers in the county. As you know, outside even the auto dealers aren't truly 100% manufacturers. They either our manufacturers either manufacture parts for a part for someone else, or they assemble someone else's parts into equipment that gets sold. So it is a big part of our economy for manufacturing and for the support that is needed, including warehousing. So, I think it obviously then they would come to the IDA to finance the 2 buildings that they're proposing, but they really can't get the 2 buildings that they want to build at the size they want to build them with parking and setbacks on the 1.8 acre parcel. So I do expect to hear back from the adjoining owner, and we'll report back to the IDA at the next meeting.
I remember a couple of years ago, we did put restrictions on the property in Commerce Park. People could buy it and they owned it forever, technically.
Yeah.
And we did that's when there's restrictions on them now, so.
I do have a gentleman who bought 38 acres across the street at the corner of 66 and Gay Bauer Road, basically between Alvarez and the car dealer. He was interested in putting a national type chain restaurant or gas station there. I think he realizes that's not going to fly with current zoning that's in place there. So I am in discussions with him about applying for a state grant that would enable him to move forward and develop 6 to 8 5-acre parcels in there for a second commerce park, if you will, or extension, without putting the county at risk of having to buy the land and doing the infrastructure and selling it. Again, it would be, you know, a great opportunity because there is sewer, water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband there. The issue with the sewer is anything that's built there that wants to tap into the sewer line that the county built from the Commerce Park to the Greenport sewer plant has to be approved by the town of Greenport. But, you know, assuming it wasn't someone using 100,000 gallons a day or something, or just disposing of that, it shouldn't, you know, be an issue. So we're hopeful about that. But with respect to the 8 Bender Boulevard project, I wanted you to be aware of it. And you know, I'm optimistic that if the other owner isn't interested, that we can bring this back to the IDA at the next meeting. If he is, I suspect we'll have to have an auction. I mean, but that acre is valuable, and it, based on the information that we sent to the state, because we do have to notify the state of any intent to sell land, and you know, based on you know, the appraisal we have on the site that the county had CEDC buy from Sestorino, the property is worth between $40,000 and $50,000 an acre. You know, the property over on whatever industrial road that is a lot cheaper, but it doesn't have water, sewer, and
Doesn't have
gas.
all of us, utilities.
So anything on this? Otherwise, I'll give you 2 quick other updates. There's an interest in Broad Street Bagel in the Applebee's in Greenport to convert it into a bagel production facility, bakery. They're interested in continuing to discuss the project with us. 27 Summit Street is an old knitting mill, I believe, in Philmont, up on the pond, or the lake. It's not 18 homes, it's just a renovation of an existing mill. There's a group out of New York who has been working to turn that into a upscale event venue for weddings and other activities. They had applied for a Restore New York grant, which would enable them to do some significant restoration of that building. They're waiting to see if they get that grant before they come to see us. We have not, not had any updates on the Labella project. I know that they were waiting to get their redesign done so they could go to the town. And it didn't make sense to come back to the IDA until they get town approval for that project. And on the Clark Estates Distillery, they had their soft opening. I guess they had several openings for smaller groups because the facility isn't, you know, wouldn't have had room for everyone at once. But the first 2 weeks of July, they're open and operating, and it's quite the place. So you know, I think perhaps we can get the IDA a tour of that facility in the next several weeks or so. And we're talking to a lot of people. We did hear that there may, we had heard that the housing project that Redburn was looking at in Greenport was in litigation over whether their option had expired. But we also had a call from the town that a developer out of White Plains either had secured title of that property or was interested in that property. So we might have another housing project coming back to us, which is, as you know, badly needed. So for looking at where we started and talking about having no projects, we got a lot of projects, but we just got to get them to a point like we did today with WIC and BAC sales to a point where they can move forward. And I think between COVID and the blip in interest rates that went up and took everybody a little bit rethinking and figuring out new methods of being able to finance and build projects. But I'm optimistic.
As like Mike said, there's a lot of projects on the table. And, so hopefully we'll get some money in.
Any questions, comments, observations?
I wanted to ask you, anything new about the ShopRite building in Greenport? I know somebody was interested in it, and he said that the real estate company that was handling that property wasn't returning any phone calls.
My understanding is it's overpriced.
Okay.
And you know, I think the theory is that it's worth more to buy and tear down than it is to buy and try to figure out what you do with it. And on the flip side, if someone buys it and uses it as is, you know, it's just gonna be a big cat cave, and, you know, you could probably, put lighting in there and grow stuff, but, I don't know what else you might do there.
Yeah.
But one thought was you take the parking lots and build housing.
That'd be great for a housing project, the whole thing. Would
Yeah.
be wonderful.
I don't know if, one of the issues is asbestos, but I would imagine that, the age of that building is probably some.
I mean, a few years ago, wasn't the whole plaza, the rest of the plaza up for sale?
Yeah.
Yeah. My other point had a home office call me, that owns a lot of places in the Midwest, and they do like, you know, more upscale sort of plazas. And I told them, I said, based on what's going on in Hudson, you know, don't be dissuaded. You could do a complete redesign of that.
I guess Stuyvesant Plaza.
Exactly. And I think you have the space to do it. But again, that was probably 2 years ago.
Well, you're right, Mike, the asbestos, when I got involved with the firehouse, where they're on the corner here, we were ready to start. Construction company came, they called the first day, they said, oh, we can't even drill holes in the ceiling because that all the ceiling. These guys asbestos panels, well, that was another value,
And
I'm
under the-
sure that's the same.
And under the panels, there was spray. So, you know, again, we continue to attract out-of-town, well-financed, experienced developers, but at the same time, you know, it's difficult because there's not a town in the county, including the city, that has full-time planning, engineering, or zoning staff. And it gets very confusing for people who are used to coming into a town where there's 6 people in the planning department to move a project through.
One last thing, Redburn, they out of Troy and Lake Placid now as far as hotel rooms?
I don't think they didn't have any hotels. This was their only hotel.
I always thought that they were up on the hill in Lake Placid there above.
Yeah, no, you know, I had worked with them since they were young kids at RPI, where they developed their software to train firemen. That's how they made their money. It was Bulex. And if they are, they're probably selling those too, but I'll check with.
Yeah, I just was curious about that.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mike. Information. No other questions from the board? Have any public comment? No comment from the public? Sarah? Motion adjourned. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you
everybody.
all.